the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
For the first hit. Rutschman into right field. Down the line. A fair ball. Adley will turn first. Head for second. He's going to turn second. Go for third. Rutschman into third base standing. An extra base hit. His first hit in the major leagues. Welcome to the...
These are long pitch innings, I think. Blister, that's what you want to make sure.
Here's a high fly ball into right. Back is Betts on the move. On the track. He's got catch by Mookie Betts.
Now, Clifford looking for a clean inning here in the seventh. Hit well out to right center field. Jones still on the move, running out of room, and he made it!
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. As always, I'm your host Patrick Moran. Sadly, no Brendan today. He will be at the Celtics game for his birthday, or he got the tickets for his birthday. So hopefully he'll have fun with that. So I am flying solo today, and I'm going to be discussing whether I can buy in or not buy in to every team's start. I'll evaluate every single team. Some teams have been horrible, some teams have been great, and that's awesome. So I'll just kind of be evaluating where every team's at and what the trajectory looks like moving forward. So hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I think we should get straight into it. We'll go division by division: AL East, AL Central, AL West, NL East, NL Central, NL West. I'll go top to bottom. New York Yankees are 7-2 to start the year. They've gotten off to a great start. Juan Soto looks fantastic in the pinstripes. The outfield's been playing really well. I don't know, I think they're a good team. It was kind of a difference of whether you saw them as kind of below 500 or above 500, and a little bit and a little bit over, a little bit under. I think the Yankees have shown that they're a good team this year. I don't think that they're going to be phenomenal the whole year, but I do think that they've definitely improved from last season. Obviously, last season was kind of a disaster, but now that it looks like a better team, the pitching is a little scary. That is kind of the concern, but we'll see where the pitching takes them without Garrett Cole. Or he's out for a month, but they're playing with it this well without Garrett Cole. Maybe that's saying something, but you never know. So New York Yankees 7-2. I don't think they're going to be one of the best teams in baseball, but as much as I hate to say it, I think there's a chance that they are a good team. Next up, the Boston Red Sox are 6-3. I can't say that is going to last the whole year, unfortunately. The Red Sox have gotten some good performances. Whitlock is a guy that's been great this year. Tanner Houck, Nick Pivetta, all of those guys have been really solid to start the season, which is great for the Red Sox because obviously they need all the pitching help they can get. They have Kelly Jansen in the back of the pen. I don't think the pitching can really sustain it. We're gonna have to kind of wait and see with Whitlock. That's kind of a toss-up considering that he could play better as a reliever, but at times he can also be a starter. Pivetta is streaky, and Tanner Houck, there's a lot to prove. So while these guys, they all have good stuff, and they all have capabilities of being good starters, I don't really know how much they can show, because all of them have something to prove. The lineup, I think, is solid. I mean, it's not, horrible. Really solid on the corners with Casas and Devers. And then, they got some good outfield pieces. I don't know. They're not, a great team. I think at the absolute best, they could be a good team. So that's kind of their limit. I think if they can keep this up, it's kind of a high floor, low ceiling type of team. So that's how I feel about the Red Sox. Next up are my Orioles. They're 5-4. Unfortunately, I just dropped 2 to the Pirates on a walk-off. I don't think they're going to be this bad, but obviously I think the loss of Bautista is going to be a big impact. That is going to hurt the Orioles because, we've seen it this past 2 days. Bautista is missed right now. The Orioles have some good guys that are trying to fill it in, but it's not Felix. It's not Felix Bautista, so that's really the sticking point. Nobody expecting them to be as good as they were last year because last year was very improbable, and a lot of last year's wins came from Felix Bautista, and he's obviously out this year. But I still think the Orioles are a good team. The rotation's good. Grayson Rodriguez, Corbin Burns, Tyler Wells is solid when he's still got gas in the tank, and then Kramer and Irvin, good back end guys. Maybe not so much Irvin, but I think there's something there with Irvin. The lineup is good, and obviously the Orioles have plenty of reinforcements in AAA, which is kind of a separator. If we've seen guys like Austin Hayes and Ramon Urias struggling, there could be a changing of the guard at some point. Kowser's been on the big league roster and could step into left field theoretically. If Hayes isn't playing well, you put them kind of in a platoon, and then there are plenty of replacements at third base. You got Kobe Mayo, Connor Norby, not that he's a third baseman. The only true third baseman is Kobe Mayo, but who we'll definitely see at some point. But the Orioles have plenty of hitters to come in as reinforcements, and then they have some intriguing pitchers. So I don't think the Orioles are going to be kind of just above 500, but maybe they're not this 101 win team that we saw last year, unfortunately. Tampa Bay is 4-5. They were at a 444 winning percentage. Tampa, I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't. We kind of said that in the predictions. It's a different Tampa vibe this year. There's no Wander Franco for obvious reasons. A lot of the pitching has been hurt. Rasmussen, McClanahan, Boz, those guys have all gone down for a significant amount of time. The Rays are a team that can always hang around because, their ability to just pluck a guy off the street, it feels like, and make him good is really something, and that's what's going to allow them to, like I said, just kind of hang. But, I could definitely see the reason for them being under 500. It's just not as strong of a Rays team as we're used to, but they could also turn it around very easily. And then last but not least, the Toronto Blue Jays, who are also 4-5. The Blue Jays, again, we're both kind of down on them, the Blue Jays, and the rotation's solid, the bullpen's solid, the offense is solid. It's a solid team, but they can't. There's a lot that has to go right for them, it feels like at times. The window of competitiveness could be closing in the next few years. If you're going to, how long is Vlad Jr. going to be there? How long is Bo Bichette going to be there? This is definitely a team that can fade. There's a very real chance of that, where they can just kind of slip out of a postseason race. So there's definitely realisticality in the Blue Jays' kind of cold start. So next up with the Cleveland Guardians. Very unfortunate for the Guardians. Now as we move to the AL Central, Shane Bieber has gone down with Tommy John surgery. That is absolutely devastating news because he had looked fantastic in his first 2 starts of the year. But Cleveland is a pitching lab. They're similar to the Rays. Like, both of those teams can produce pitchers at a very high level. Cleveland has young reinforcements that can come up, but obviously Gavin Williams is on the shelf. Tanner Bybee and Logan Allen are good pitchers, but obviously it's going to be a significant impact for this team now that Shane Bieber's out. The Cleveland offense is okay. Like, I think they're trying to improve for next season, or they were trying to improve for this season. Excuse me. the offense is a little bit weak at times. Obviously, they have J-Ram, which is great. But Cleveland 7-2 is pretty remarkable. This is kind of a wide open division, so that's what kind of makes it weird. Like, any of these teams besides the White Sox fans could grab a division title. So it's not out of the realm for Cleveland to be this good. It's really going to depend on the offense and how well this offense can keep up in some games. So, but definitely Cleveland, it's very real that they could have gotten off to the start. And then the Detroit Tigers are 6-3. They were off to a 5-0 start at one point. But now they're on a 2-game losing streak, which is unfortunate. The Detroit Tigers, man. I had some faith in the Tigers. Obviously, Brendan went with the Royals, and I went with the Tigers. That's kind of going to be the head-to-head matchup. I think the Tigers are a more well-rounded team. Like, there's more volatility with the Royals. We're just kind of talking about the two together. The Royals are 5-4, so it's going to be a neck-and-neck race between these teams throughout the course of the season. But yeah, Detroit is... I like Detroit. I think the pitching is good, and obviously the pitching can have an advantage being in a big ballpark at home. And then there's some good guys on offense that can definitely produce. And then the Royals, it's just like I said, they're kind of a worse version of the Tigers, I feel like. So, this is what I would believe. Like, the Tigers ahead of the Royals, just with the Twins in first, which we'll get to them in a sec. But both of these teams, I can definitely see a world where they're good teams. I can buy the early success. Minnesota Twins up next, 3-4. Royce Lewis has gone down with an injury, which is unfortunate. It feels like a lot of Twins stars are just injury prone, which is really sad. We all know about that with Byron Buxton, and Royce Lewis has had to battle through a lot of injuries in his career as well. The Twins, I don't think they're this bad. I don't, they're the division winners. I mean, maybe there's room for regression. I don't know. The starters are all good. I like the pitching. I think there's a lot of intrigue. It's not like the Royals where it's like intrigue and volatile. It's more like intrigue and safe if it comes to the worst case scenario. The Twins are good. I just think the Twins are a good team. They're going to be at the top of this division. So I think they'll pick it up and play better. So, yeah. And then the White Sox 1-7. I mean, they're putrid. I mean, they're so bad that it is believable that they're going to be this bad throughout the whole season. Obviously, when a team only has one win, it's really hard to buy into that type of misery. But I mean, this White Sox team is horrible. I mean, there were a lot of once top prospects on the pitching side that really haven't done a whole lot. And then the offense is just horrible. I would expect a guy like Luis Robert or an Eloy Jimenez to be on the way out at some point. Maybe even a Yoan Moncada could be on the way out. It's the White Sox in rebuild. I do think that they're going to be at the bottom of this division, but maybe not this bad per se. So that's what I got on the AL Central. Kind of one of the weakest divisions in baseball. And now we move on to the AL West. The Texas Rangers are 6-2. Texas is good. Texas is really good. The lineup is really long. Obviously, they are the reigning World Series champs. They had to beat the Orioles to get there, which is, we don't talk about that, but, hats off to them. Texas, the pitching, if the pitching can hold on until some of the big guns get back, Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom are on the shelf for now, but they could be returning at some point. And then like a Tyler Mahle, who they picked up. Tyler Mahle has some, good upside. The pitching is really going to have to hold down the fort for this team, both in the rotation and the pen. They're trying to keep the Band-Aid on as long as they can. I did like the pickup of Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen is solid for kind of lesser innings than other pitchers, but, the role he's going to be in, it's going to be good for him in Texas. He's not going to have to do as much of the heavy lifting. He's going to be able to get them through the tough times without, the main pitchers. So I thought that was a solid pickup, kind of a flyer at the end of spring training. John Gray and Dane Dunning are solid. There's some good stuff there. Obviously, J-Mont didn't come back, which is too bad. Plenty of guys are going to get opportunities for Texas pitching, but it's really all about the bats. Corey Seager, Marcus, those guys are studs up the middle. Too bad Josh Young is out. That's too bad. But the outfield's really good. Carter, Langford, Taveras, Garcia. It's a really good outfield situation as well. It's really, like I said at the beginning of this, it's all about the pitching. If the pitching can be serviceable from the Rangers, they're gonna hit. So I could believe the success because they're the World Series champs. So that's kind of the main reason. But the lineup could definitely bang. The pitching just has to hold strong for as long as they can. Next up, the Angels are 5-3. I laugh because the Angels are so I'm out. The Angels, there's no faith anymore in the Angels because they had Shohei Ohtani, they had Mike Trout on the same team, and they could not win. And they are 5-3. That is true, but it's not good. The Angels are not good. The lineup is okay. It's fine. There's some good enough players to kind of have some intrigue. Logan O'Hoppe is a really solid catcher and all that. Rondon's he hates baseball, and Luis Rengifo is a solid little player. Brandon Drury is good as well. Nolan Schanuel and Zach Neto look to be some pieces, good major league pieces moving forward. But the pitching is just scary. They got blown up by the Orioles in the opening series. They did win the third game, but the Orioles scored a combined 20-something runs in the first two games off the Angels pitching staff. It's just not great, and we've kind of believed in the Angels a little bit in the past because they had Trout and Ohtani, and it's kind of easy to win with those guys. But the Angels did not build a winning team around them, and it's just they're not good. So I'm gonna have to sell the early success, which is unfortunate. Just trade Mike Trout, please. We need Mike Trout somewhere where he is playing relevant baseball. So that's really all that I got there. Seattle Mariners 4-5. I thought the Mariners were gonna be better. I thought they were gonna be third place, but I didn't think they would be really cratering. The pitching's great. Castillo, Kirby, Miller, Gilbert's a great guy. They have a lot of really great homegrown pitching, and I love that Luis Castillo is leading the charge. The offense can be a little lethargic at times. There's not a lot of thump there. So that's kind of the problem with the Mariners. Are they going to score enough? Their pitching keep them in the game, but at the end of the day, they have to get some runs across the plate. So I think the Mariners are going to be better, but maybe not much better. Oakland is 3-7. I would just like to say this. I apologize to Oakland fans. I'm so sorry on what you're going through right now. It must be terrible. It must suck. And your team's getting ripped away from you, which is just absolutely horrible. But they're 3-7. They're ahead of the Astros, which I'll clump these two together as well. Astros, I'm selling. Astros, I'm definitely selling. The early success or early woes. Astros are way better than that. The back end of the bullpen is arguably the best back end in baseball with Brian Abreu, Ryan Presley, and Josh Hader. All three of those guys are closers at the end of the day, and the fact that you have to go through Brian Abreu in the seventh, good night. The game might as well be over in the seventh for the opponent if the Astros have a lead, and it gives you many options to go to if you need a guy having a day off. It just runs so deep in the pen for the Astros. And then the offense is still good. The A's are just bad all around. There's no pitching. There's no offense, really. The A's are going to be in last place. And the Astros, I think, are going to be in first. I would not, I don't believe in the slow start for the Astros. So, that's kind of where I stand on both of these teams. National League now. National League East, Atlanta Braves 6-2. There's not a lot else to say. This Braves team is loaded. They've got a lot of their guys locked up for a long time. So this is going to be a dynasty, I believe. You know, the Atlanta Braves are the best team in baseball, in my opinion. Obviously, Brennan believes in the Dodgers. It's kind of an apples and oranges thing, but the Braves are pretty much right where we expect them to be. So, yeah, there's not much else to say. They're a great team. So, honestly, this NL East is kind of right where I thought they would be. Philadelphia Phillies are 4-5 though in second. So it's kind of the Braves and everyone else. The Phillies are a good team. You know, obviously they got talent. They got Harper. They got Schwarber. They got plenty of guys. Castellanos, Alec Boehm's I guess good player. Bryson Stott's a great player. JT Realmuto. There's plenty of talent on the Phillies roster. The pitching again is kind of it's a similar conversation to the Rangers of like pitching has to kind of step up, but they do have Wheeler and Nola at the top, which is really good. I don't think they're going to be below 500. That's a tough buy. Honestly, the NL East is kind of spot on is where I thought it would be. Mets are 3-6. I think they're going to be hovering around 500. They're not that bad, but it is a bridge year for the Mets per se. There's going to be a lot of learning about who is part of the core. So the Mets definitely have some things to work out. I think it was smart that they're taking a year to kind of figure out what the future plan is. I think they're going to be camped out right in third place, pretty much playing 500 ball the whole year. Washington Nationals, I believe in the Nationals personally. I think there's a lot of fun prospects on the way up. You got like a Robert Hassel, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Elijah Green. There's plenty of good stuff going on on the farm system. Not a lot of pitching, which is a little bit scary, but that is okay. There's some good hitters coming up, making their way to the upper levels of the minors. So Nationals, I think, have a pretty solid future. They just got to grab a few more arms, but they do have some arms healthy. Cade Cavalli is coming back soon. Jake Irvin can be like a good back end of the rotation type of guy. If he's just able to throw enough innings. Like, if you're a starter and you throw enough innings at like a 4-something, teams will pay for that. We saw Kyle Gibson get that last year from the Cardinals. Like, he had a 4-5 with the Orioles and it threw like 180, 190 innings. So those guys still get contracts. They still get good deals. Durability is very important for any team. I mean, pitchers it feels like pitchers can go down like flies. So if we have those inning eater guys, that's really important. By the way, Spencer Strider also hurt, which is really sad, and Yuri Perez of the Marlins, which is really sad. Which we'll talk about the Marlins. 0-9. Yeah, this team is 0-9, which is really unfortunate. It's really sad. The Marlins have gotten off to the coldest start after being a postseason team. It kind of seems like last year was a fluke, which is a bummer. The Marlins were okay last year. Kind of in hindsight, it's really bad. So Marlins are 0-9 or winless. I mean, they're obviously going to turn around. They're going to win a game this year. You're not going 0-1 62, but the Marlins definitely they're definitely not a great team. I think I had them finishing last. NL Central, the Pirates. The Pirates are 8-2. Shout out to the Pirates. I have a friend who's a big Pirates fan, so shout out to him as well if he's listening to this. Probably not. But the Pirates are playing some really good ball. They were hanging on with the Orioles, which is a really good sign. Obviously, when you're able to hang around with a division winner, they kind of did this last year. They got off to a really hot start last year and then kind of cooled off. So we'll kind of see if this year they can hold a little bit firmer to the early success. But the Pirates are definitely a good team, and they definitely have some good young arms coming up. You got a Paul Skeens, Jared Jones just looked fantastic at the major league level. I've really been impressed with Jared Jones. Mitch Keller, they were able to sign him to an extension, which is really good. And then you got some good hitters. Obviously Andy Rodriguez is out for the year, which is a bummer. But Henry Davis has been kind of holding it down behind the plate. Key Brian Hayes is a really good young third baseman who could become the standard of a defensive third baseman. He is so good over at the hot corner with the glove. there's plenty of fun with the Pirates. The Pirates could be a fun team, but overall, like, it's we'll kind of see if they're able to keep up the success. Milwaukee Brewers next up, 5-2. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say on that because I believe that the Brewers are going to be good. They did trade away Corbin Burnes to my Orioles, which is a blow to the Brewers, but they were able to get Dale Hall back. Like, you can kind of tinker him out as a starter, as a reliever, and kind of do what you want. I mean, I kind of feel him more as a reliever. I mean, it hasn't been great as a starter, but if you want to do that, like, you could do that. So the Brewers are good. They got Joey Ortiz in that trade as well, who's a really good middle infielder defensively, and has shown really positive things with the bat in his minor league career. Yeah, the Brewers are a good team. They're going to find ways to win. They're kind of like a National League version of the Rays, in the sense of, like, they're going to be able to find talent. They're going to be able to find guys that are going to help them win, and that's important when you're kind of a smaller market team. Finding those guys on the margins and getting the best out of them, which is what the Brewers can do. Chicago Cubs 5-3. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Chicago Cubs are good. Yeah, they're just kind of good. That's really it. Justin Steele got hurt the other day. I believe it was on opening day, but should be back sooner or later. There's plenty of good bats. Or Shota Imanaga too. Shout out to him. He had a great home opener, or MLB. I don't remember if it was his MLB debut. I think it was. But he pitched a fantastic home opener for the Cubs. Plenty of bats, and then they have a really, really solid farm system with a lot of great players. Some intrigue, some safeness, some safety blanketness. So that's a good balance to have. The Cubs I think, can be a really good team. And I think that's pretty fair. And they obviously got Cody Bellinger back, so shout out to Cody Bellinger returning to the Cubs. That was a really good move, I thought, for them. Next up, Cincinnati Reds 5-4. Yeah, Cincinnati, like, I can believe that. I mean, they've been hurt. They've been bit by the injury bug. They have a lot of good young talent as well. They showed it last year because they were a lot more successful than we thought they would be. But the Reds are still good. The Reds are still a good team. They could be a little better, I believe, but overall, I think it's a pretty fair spot. And the Cardinals are 5-4 as well. The Cardinals are, they're okay. They're kind of mediocre. The pitching is taking a hit. They don't usually have the best pitchers out there, but the rotation's pretty middling overall, kind of below average-ish. The offense is still great, but it's going to be tough with Goldschmidt and Arenado. It's another year older for those guys. Goldschmidt is, I believe, a free agent after this year. So it's really going to be a matter of, like, how long is the window open. There are some good young players. There's a Victor Scott who can really go get it in center. A Jordan Walker who can mash. Mason Wynn looks to be a really good shortstop for a long time. So there's good stuff going on there, but both of these teams, I could see where they struggle, but I could also see a little bit of success, and it's for very different reasons. So kind of a conundrum there. Last but not least, the NL West. The Milwaukee Brewers why did I say Brewers? The Los Angeles Dodgers are 8-3. I mean, that's pretty much everything you need to know right there. I mean, the team is loaded. Yamamoto, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. I'm sure I'm missing a few guys. Teoscar Hernandez too. I mean, it's loaded. It's stacked. So yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, and they're gonna be great for forever. It feels like. San Diego Padres are 5-6. I mean, I could see that. The Padres are a pretty good team overall. I mean, the Dylan Cease trade, I think, is what put them into good at best. Obviously, the Padres have kind of failed to win. They traded away Juan Soto. But the lineup is still great. There's a lot of talent in the lineup. Jackson Merrill has been really great early on. He's a top prospect, and he was able to make his major league debut this year. Made the team out of camp, which is really impressive. So the Padres, they're not bad, but they're not good. So I can kind of see them middling. Diamondbacks 4-6. Yeah, that's a little bit of a surprise. I don't think they're going to be this bad, although shortstop, we'll see what they do with that. because Perdomo and Lawler are on the shelf, which is really funny. Well, not funny that they're hurt, but it was kind of between them for the shortstop job, and both of them are down, so very unfortunate for the Diamondbacks that one of them could not be healthy. The Diamondbacks, they had a good team last year. They made the World Series, and they improved it. So I don't think the Diamondbacks' early struggles are really going to last that long. But you never know what's going to happen. The Diamondbacks could flame out, but I still think they're a good team. Giants are 3-6. I mean, that's believable. Yeah, the Giants made a lot of additions, but now based on the early record, it looks more like a quantity over quality type of additions. Like, they got Jung-Hoo Lee, who looks really solid. Matt Chapman and Jorge Soler came in as well on some kind of more team-friendly deals that are more expensive. The Giants, it's going to be hard for them to make their way up. They'd have to have a lot go right for them in order to gain some more success, which is, it's kind of just the place that they're at. Not a great farm system either. Some good players, but not studs. So, yeah, Giants, I could believe it. And then the Rockies are 2-7. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I would say that's spot on. Not a lot going on for the Rockies. They have a great farm system. There's plenty of young talent that'll be making its way up. But it's not great. There's a lot of growing pains for the Rockies right now. Chris Bryant's there if he can ever remember how to play good baseball. So, yeah, Rockies are the Rockies, and it's going to be tough to pitch for the Rockies as well in Coors. So, but that is the full rundown of every team so far this year. There have been some plot twists, there have been some turns here and there, but overall, it feels pretty accurate. It does feel like this is kind of what we've expected overall. Definitely some surprises, like I said, but pretty consistent across the board. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Unfortunately, no Brendan. We always miss Brendan out here, but we still got to get an episode out for you guys. This isn't going to age well because I've recorded this a week prior when this comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much the scope. And just beware that all these analysis could change in a week, because baseball is the fluidity of the sport is amazing. So hope you guys enjoyed as always, and we'll talk to you next week.